Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is Laughin' Games here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 SC EVO cast. So really, it's not just another Starcraft 2 cast, it's Starcraft 2 versus Broodwar. And we have got another very exciting series here today. It is the grand finals of SC EVO number 7 or number 8, I want to say. Forgive me for not remembering off the top of my head. We can double check that later. But yes, we've got the two most prominent players from this tournament. It is going to be Spirit, the Polish Terran, taking on the Protoss monster being Classic. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can go ahead and hit 10 likes on this video, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying whether you want to see more of this SC EVO mod. There is going to be a show match between Classic and Euthermal happening, I guess, today, since the day that this is uploaded. And so I'll probably be casting that on the channel sometime relatively soon. And then, yeah. So like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as this channel is relatively new. So we're putting up new videos every day for the most part. And we just want to spread the good word of StarCraft 2 in 2025. So subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to try and keep a variety of games going on the channel. It'll kind of vary depending on the tournaments that are going on, but it'll be primarily high-level gameplay focused. We've got a very cool map here today. You might be thinking, like, is my screen cable disconnecting or something? Why is there a bunch of blue and green pixels on the screen? No, that's just a very cool feature of this map on Neo Isles. And let's see, we have got neither player going for a scout yet. I'm not sure if this map is just cross-spawn, but it looks like it's, what's the word for quad symmetrical? I should know this. This is one of the things they taught you in early bio. Lateral symmetry, and so it's not lateral symmetry, it's like full symmetry, whatever the other word is. So that means that there very well could be potential spawn locations in every direction. Looks like Spirit is actually floating his racks to the upper right to scout out, which is very interesting. So quite a change of pace from other TVP openings. Spirit is the Broodwar Terran in this match, and Classic is the Protoss. So we're gonna see, as Classic goes for a proxy, Robo 1 basing it, which isn't that common in StarCraft 2 PvT, but he's gonna be trying it and potentially catching Spirit off guard, as Spirit has got literally no units. He did not build a bunker because his barracks is flying across the map, and he may be regretting his decision soon. The Terran player is building a turret, which is not really what he wants. I mean, turrets are good against air units, but Classic is going to have a very powerful ground force. The Terran does fire up a single siege tank, and a Vulture is on the way, keeping in mind he won't have spider mines researched, which is going to be really painful, and Classic is going to be able to juggle units with this Warp Prism, warp in reinforcements, that kind of thing. The Protoss player, does he have an idea where Spirit is? No, looks like he's actually just going to the upper right, maybe expecting Spirit to be there, or I'm not too sure. Yeah, because Spirit's sending his racks, so they don't know where each other spawns. So Classic didn't scout, so he's actually taking a shot in the dark and hoping he knows where Spirit is, but he's going to roll on up, and this is actually going to cost him quite a bit of time as he goes on in, and there will be no Terran base there. Classic, I think, may have misread this one a little bit as he goes to attack a location that Spirit is not in. This is going to give the Terran very precious time. Unfortunately for Spirit, his racks will not quite see this, but now Classic has got to be like, oh man, where is this? Is this actually a 4-player map? So maybe forgetting that a little bit, he does toss out a hallucinated Phoenix, starts to move his army back the other way, and so he will know that this is coming. Spirit does send out an SCV, seemingly to build a very quick third base. That SCV may be revealed as Classic, pardon me. Oh, wait a second. Are these bases all islands? Okay, no, they're not islands. It's just a very... Yes, they are islands on this map. Pardon me. So that's why Spirit elected to play in this very greedy way, Classic is shuttling units over with this Prism. Spirit doesn't know that this is coming his way. He does now, as he's going to see Zealots warping in, but it may be a bit too late for that. Spirit's going to say, uh-oh, cancels the command center. He does have 2 tanks out, 3 tanks out, and he immediately pulls the SCVs. So anticipating this attack very early on, he's got those Goliaths, which have quite good anti-air to help zone out the Prism. Spirit will have to shuffle his tanks around as this goes on. He's got a Wraith on the way to potentially provide more anti-air. SCVs do have to be pulled into this fight. The tanks will deal massive damage to the Stalkers, as Broodwar tanks do, but that is leaving the Zealots to get some damage done to the rest of the units. The Goliath is trying to pick off the Prism, and the Prism does go down. That is a critical part of the rush of Classic. Can Spirit hold on? He's got to micro this tank back. He's not going to be able to repair it, but he has lost most of his units. The Wraith pops out, but Wraiths deal pitiful damage. Still, the SCVs get a massive surround, and it's important to keep in mind that Classic is one-basing this right now, so Spirit sends some of his SCVs back to work. He's going to wait for his tank to pop out. Classic only has another Prism on the way just now. He's warping in some more units. Where are those sentries? Looks like he's warping them in back at home, but that's actually quite delayed. So Classic maybe not reinforcing this rush. My apologies for my lack of knowledge on the base layout. This is something that we don't have in StarCraft 2. It is only StarCraft 1 maps where there's potentially just full-blown island bases and strategies, but Classic, he warps in 3 sentries. Maybe a little bit unsure of how to proceed with this rush, as Spirit has managed to hold on. He's got that Wraith, got a Goliath. His depot is being attacked by Classic, but as long as it's his depot and not his mineral liner units, I think he'll be happy. This Wraith is going to zone out that Prism a little bit, preventing Classic from coming on in. There is more units being produced by Spirit, a Wraith, a tank on the way. Still, though, the Terran doesn't have that much stuff. Classic is warping in more Zealots. I think we're going to need to see another SCV pull. Looks like Hallucinated Archons get warped in. Spirit doesn't have a scan he can drop, so they will be treated by real as his units. One tank gets a shot off from the back line. The tanks are staying alive for quite a while as SCVs are buffering, but that is a lot of SCV losses for Spirit. Classic targets down the Wraiths, so that's going to be able to keep that Prism alive and allow reinforcements to warp in right now. Still, though, the Protoss is losing a lot of units. That being said, the Terrans lost many SCVs. Can the Goliaths be heroes and take down the Prism? Yes, they can. Spirit feels he has to pull more SCVs into this. So far, the Terrans staying alive. It's very, very uncomfortable, but he repairs the tanks. They continue to get shots off, and Classic's rush has failed once more. The Protoss really seems unsure of what to do from this point. He only fires up a Prism now, so he wasn't really thinking of the next wave once he lost his Prism, and that's completely understandable for a guy like Classic, because he's a StarCraft 2 player. For the most part, he hasn't been thought about island maps in a long, long time, most likely. Classic's going to try this with more sentries once again. He's maybe just warped them in as he had a big gas surplus. Looks like there's a Wraith that's going to find this Prism, though. Those sentries will actually deal so little damage to the Wraith, but they will still actually kill it off, so that's quite a big boon for Classic. Looks like Goliath is trying to zone this out. The Goliaths do not have their upgrade that allows them to, I believe it's have increased range or have more attack. Or, no, pardon me, to be able to move while attack. Pardon me, to fire both weapons at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, we do have one tank get picked off by Classic. Good micro. Spirit's trying to be fancy with a shuttle, but it's really amounting to nothing. So he's lost a Goliath. The race loses the shuttle there. Pardon me, not the shuttle, the dropship. As looks like Classic is warping in more Zealots. Couple of Hallucinated Archons get warped in once again, but still, the Terran has got quite a defense against this. 4 siege tanks, 5 siege tanks, only 1 Goliath as far as non-tank units, but these tanks are still going to deal lots of damage as long as Spirit targets down those units and not the Hallucinated Archons. The 2 Goliaths out now are trying to chase down the Prism, and still, I'm not sure it really matters as Classic warps in Zealots on top of this army of Spirit. He's just going to type on out as Spirit successfully makes the defense. And I think Spirit's strategy makes a lot of sense after realizing that it was an island map. So Classic definitely realized it was an island map, but the way he tried to capitalize on it maybe wasn't the best. Maybe a Tempest Rush would have been better in that kind of scenario. Just keep rallying Tempest over, that kind of thing. Because, I mean, I don't know if Broodwar Terran has great answers to a Tempest Rush, because usually it's Vikings and Cyclones. So what would it be? Goliaths? Maybe? because, like, I don't think Wraiths would be that good against Tempest. So, we have got Spirit having a 1-0 lead in this series. And yeah, what a series it has been so far. Now, Spirit, he did previously take down Classic, I believe. I'd have to check the results on that, but I don't really want to look. But we'll find out because there is a losers format to this tournament. So basically, the way that it works is the players play a full-blown best-of-5, and then if the player from the loser bracket, who I believe is Classic, wins this best-of-5, then they'll play another best-of-3. And that's because Classic, the player from the losers bracket, I'm pretty sure it was Classic, has already lost a match. So that's to keep it fair for Spirit. So it's like, if you're going to go through the losers bracket, use your second life. There's got to be a disadvantage in the finals. We've seen a lot of variations from it in StarCraft 2 tournaments over the years. Some tournaments just say, nope, that's just the tournament format. Others tournaments will say give a map advantage. Some will. I do think that this extra best of three format is the best one. Anyway, we have got ourselves a probe and a nexus on the way for Classic, as Classic goes for a gateway expand. He is playing Broodwar Protoss, so the players have switched races, which is interesting because it's loser race pick, which means that Classic elected to play Broodwar Protoss. I mean, he's had some very incredible Dragoon pushes. He's had some really great success with Psystorm drops in this matchup. And so I honestly don't blame him for it. Now, Spirit is a different beast, though, from other Terrans. He is incredibly good and has really refined his TVP in the past, and I assume that that translates a little bit to this matchup. Let's see, Classic has one Dragoon on the way, unsurprisingly, and he'll probably get that range upgrade at some point. There's that Singularity charge on the way, increasing Dragoon's range by 1, which makes them notably outrange bunkers, outrange Marines, Marauders, and that gives them incredible potential because that's not really a dynamic we have in StarCraft 2. There's not a Protoss unit other than, well, I guess the Colossus and the Tempest, the Disruptor, if you lump it in, that can shoot a bunker and outrange the units inside it. And that is, I mean, like, those units don't come till the late game, but this is an early game rush that Broodwar Protoss has. It's incredibly strong. It forces Terrans to play a certain way. We're going to have Spirit produce a few Marines, probably have a tank on the way behind this, and hopefully a bunker sometime soon. Whispers of Gold is... I want to say that this is a Broodwar map, but I believe we also had it as a StarCraft 2 map, so maybe I'm mistaken. Dragoon for Classic actually just rushed across the map to push on in, start fighting the Marines, but it will be able to kite these basically infinitely. So he moves on in, takes a bit of a bruising on that Dragoon, but he does get a Marine, softens up another one. Spirit needs to be very careful not to lose too many Marines early on. He dropped a Mule. That would be a hot pickup for Classic. I think Spirit needs to pull that away and repair it. Another Dragoon wanders forward. Where's the tank for Spirit? There it is, setting up on the high ground. That's a bit of a trap because these Dragoons might eat more than the usual one shot you want to have. And there's a second shot that goes down. Classic, however, repositions to just stay out of the range of that tank. So now the tank will have to reposition for Spirit to get to the low ground. We'll see if Classic can target it down. Spirit needs to be ready with an SCV repair. He's actually just going to try and sandwich these Dragoons, so Spirit being incredibly lethal, kind of letting Classic overstay his welcome and then get punished for it. So 3 Dragoons go down for 4 Marines and an SCV. I think that's a trade Spirit is going to be very happy with. The Terran, look at this, he's moving forward. Spirit has got quite a great understanding of this matchup. These players are really looking refined in the StarCraft EVO League, more so than I thought they would. I know there's been a few variants of this tournament, but I don't think Spirit and Classic have played in too many of them, so they really are looking just phenomenal. Their just general game sense is really shining through. We do have Classic going for a very, very quick third Nexus behind this, and so that's going to give him a good economy. He's also going into Reavers, which are absolutely a solid answer to anything Terran. It seems Reavers are just an incredible unit. So Classic, he's got a shuttle on the way. Scarab damage is being researched. That increases the damage of Scarabs extra versus Protoss, but this isn't a PvP, so there's not too much to worry about that. We've got 2 Dragoons in the shuttle. As Classic sees this, he's taken a lot of heat on that. We now have Spirit actually repositioning some of these Marines to try and hunt down the shuttle. And he's going to load into that Medivac. He can potentially boost after this to kill it. Shuttles are comically slow in StarCraft 2, so Spirit is going to boost. Classic is trying to save this. It's going to be tight. He has to unload the Dragoons to try and save this. Spirit is really trying to push this away. Classic isn't really having a lot of opportunity to micro these Dragoons because he's just in full-blown retreat. The shuttle stays alive for now, but there's the Reaver. That could potentially save the bacon. Is there going to be a big shot? Spirit goes for a scan. He splits, sends a Marine forward to eat the shot. Incredible play by Spirit to counter the Protoss Dragoon, and the Dragoon actually dies. Classic went for this greedy third base, and now Spirit is going to be punishing it as the tanks get set on up. 2 Dragoons do come from behind. However, the tanks will do quite well, so that's 2 dead Dragoons. They are not exactly cheap for Broodwar Protoss. There's a Liberator inside the main base. Pardon me, I saw this being produced, but it has killed 7 workers, denied massive amounts of mining time, and really hindered Classic's response to muster a defense against this. Looks like a couple Dragoons are out on the map trying to grab some Terran reinforcements. There's a Viking to be anti-shuttle as well for Spirit, but he does take out that third base. He's now moving towards the natural. Will Spirit micro against this Reaver? And he does an okay job. Loses a few Marines. The 2 tanks are going to siege on up. Classic is coming from behind. He's got 7 Dragoons, so that's no small amount. There's also the Reaver. Looks like the shuttle does go down. However, Spirit may have overextended a little bit. The 1 tank is going to get some more shots off. How many more Dragoons can it kill? It gets at least 2, which is good, but that does put Spirit in a bit of a dicey position. He doesn't have that many units out. He's got 1 tank against all these Dragoons for Classic, so Classic is going to move to the other side of the map. We'll see how much he can bully his opponent. Spirit does have a 2nd tank being produced. He's been so consistent with his tank production in this series, but Classic, he's trying to recover from this as well as he can, in the sense that he built a 3rd base after losing that one, and he's now got a 4th on the way already, so really trying to come back economically. The tank for Spirit does zone out the Dragoons. The Terran player is going into bio, so I assume Classic will just want to build more Reavers. We were getting a Citadel of a Dune, which is what Protoss needs to research charge. So it's a bit more of a process for Protoss to get Zealot charge in StarCraft Broodwar. Marines moving out for Spirit once again. I think it's a little bit bold, but I do like the aggressiveness to try and prevent Classic from getting an advantage with that Dragoon range, as the Terran just pushes out. Spirit's own 3rd is quite delayed, really delayed compared to Classic's 1st 3rd, but still also delayed compared to his 2nd 3rd, and now his 4th base. So Classic is really just trying to be greedy to come back in this game. He's able to now make 4 probes at a time if he wants to. He's keeping pressure on his opponent. I gotta say, by the way, the Dragoon dying sound is so satisfying, but look at this Spirit moving forward with Marines. Oh, he eats a absolute massive Reaver shot. That's gonna make an unhappy Spirit. However, the Marines are trying to chase this down. The Reaver looks like it may die. Spirit is pursuing this. Dragoons for Classic are like, hey, this could be an opportunity, as they do move in towards the 3rd. Spirit, I think he might have just seen red after that Reaver shot connected and chased it down. He did have some success, but now we've got Marauders chasing after these Dragoons. They do not have Concussive Shell. Spirit is like, all right, Concussive Shell. Every Terran gets reminded to build Concussive Shell when their Marauders fire and the units still escape. They're like, right, Concussive Shell would be really nice right now. Classic, how many Reavers does he have right now? The answer is none. Pardon me, 1 Reaver out. And let's see, can Spirit micro against this? As I'm honestly not sure. Yeah, you send forward the 1 unit. He just targets down the Reaver. Looks like all that experience killing StarCraft 2 disruptors has helped Spirit out. As the Terran pushes forward, he's got +1 attack. Classic will have his own +1 attack. He's making 8 Zealots at a time. Yes, I say making, not warping on in, as it's not like Broodwar Protoss has got warp gate technology. It looks like Classic comes from behind, gets on top of one of the tanks with his Zealot. Spirit turns around to try and greet that. Classic is still going to take the fight to get another tank. It costs him quite a few Zealots. Spirit's got reinforcements coming across the map. Supply is eerily close right now, though. In fact, it's dead on tide as far as the army is concerned, 60 to 60. Not that I have a clear grasp on what supply is better, StarCraft 2 Terran or Broodwar Protoss. That Reaver does get a nice shot off. Spirit is still trading out against this. He does have a 4th command center on the way, but Classic has got quite a nice economy behind this on 4 bases. Still, Spirit pushes on in. The Protoss army really has been reset. It's just 11 Zealots for Classic, and they're producing very slowly. He needs to get all of those to the front lines, and it is just going to be Zealots joined by 1 Reaver. 5 Dragoons are being produced to try and help out. The Classic's third base is really getting pushed right now. Pylon goes down. Not that it's powering a battery or allowing warpins, but still Classic is going to move forward to try and shut this down. However, Spirit's Bio is putting out a lot of damage on these Zealots. Classic could be in trouble. He fires 1 shot with the Reaver, trying to pull it back, but they are just so darn slow, and Spirit will take the 2-0 lead in this series, winning with Starcraft 2 Terran and Broodwar Terran, and Spirit is just looking very formidable and having great understanding of this matchup. Like, it would be so easy for him just to be playing passive and getting bullied by Classic's Protoss, but he's not letting that happen, which really is great to see. We are now going to have Classic, being the loser, pick the race, and now he says, okay, it's StarCraft 2 time. I'm going to try and get a win with this Protoss, and it's on a more standard map. It's important to keep in mind that Classic, the match that he lost on with StarCraft 2 Protoss, was an island map, which really is an anomaly. It's something we do not have in StarCraft 2. So it's understandable that the games would be wacky, and Spirit did do a great job capitalizing on it. But my point is that Spirit doesn't have the opportunity to capitalize on that again. So we're probably not going to see a 1-base play, which is a weaker play in StarCraft 2. Spirit looks like he's planning on going for a command center first once again, though. Classic is going to scout this with his probe, so Spirit's going to need to get an SCV down there to help deal with that pesky probe. Thankfully, Broodwar SCVs are absolute trucks, so they'll actually be harder to harass to death with the probe. Spirit, though, will have to wait for his Raxes on the way, and I'm curious if Classic will be able to shut this down at all as he comes in with his probe. I think Spirit will need to go for a second Rax or something behind this, as it's a little bit dicey. What's Classic doing? He's just saving up money to build his Nexus, so he's keeping a cool head and just saying, whatever, have your command center first, Spirit, I don't care. And we'll see if that comes back to bite Classic or not. Spirit being greedy on just a single spawn map is quite incredible. SCV stabbing that probe. And yeah, I'm curious what Classic should go for this match. Should it be, say, Dark Templar? That's something that Broodwar Terran has to deal with, but I don't know if there's as much shuttle, or pardon me, yeah, shuttle usage with DTs in Broodwar, whereas it definitely exists in StarCraft 2, so that would be a cool build for Classic to go for. We haven't seen a lot of Comsat stations or eBays from Spirit in this series. In fact, I don't believe we've seen any. And so that could very well be a great decision. Marine is going to shoot at that probe, send it away. We have a Stargate as the tech of choice by Classic. Meanwhile, Spirit, he does go into double factory. Going to be playing some Broodwar mech. And we saw how good those tanks were to helping him defend in game number 1. The Goliaths, the Vultures, really everything is good. Vultures are okay. They're a lot better once you have Spider Mines, but it does fill the slot of a Hellion/Reaper to allow Spirit to potentially scout out with this. We do have an Adept shading on in. Looks like it may shade on top of the Marines. However, that Vulture is out, so the Adept may regret its decision, and it will go down for just a single Marine. So not the best trade for Classic, as Spirit just shuts that down. He does have 2 more Vultures on the way, so going to be looking for some harassment. We'll see if Classic goes for a wall in response to this. The answer is not yet. So he's got to be very, very wary of these Vultures getting into his base. He will have the Oracle as a potential harassing tool. Spirit definitely is lacking anti-air right now. Classic just sends that Oracle out. He doesn't pop battery recharge. Now Spirit goes for a Goliath. Let's look at the timer. It's got about 14 seconds to go. That Oracle is crossing the map, so there will be a very, very brief window for the Oracle. as that Goliath will pop out to try and be the hero. In goes the Oracle of Classic, sees an exposed mineral line, and he's going to be happy. It targets a few SCVs going into the refineries at first, which isn't ideal, and out pops the Goliath, so no damage gets found. In goes the 3 Vultures to start one-shotting probes of Classic. That is really not ideal, and 2 is enough to one-shot probes, so Classic is taking massive damage here. And it does look like Spirit is setting himself up incredibly well in this game. The Oracle runs out of energy. Classic has to pop energy overcharge. Meanwhile, the Oracle on the other side of the map is doing some work, but not 10 probes worth of damage work. And that is quite painful for the Protoss, as Spirit has a huge worker lead. He throws up a 3rd command center on location. Okay, this is greedy from Spirit, as he does just have 3 Goliaths out right now. And no tank. So Classic is going to poke out on the map. He's got the 2 Oracles. Going to be looking for some more damage. He's going to have the Stalkers poking in with this as well. He finds the 3rd base of Spirit, and he's got to be going really on location, man. And this could be the biggest mistake Spirit has made in this series, as now he's trying to defend against these Stalkers with his Goliath. That's going to need a repair for sure. And I think Spirit may just need to eat humble pie and cancel this command center. Hopefully get out a siege tank soon. He has yet to start a siege tank. Now one's on the way, and it cannot come soon enough, seeing as how Classic does a blink on the way. Does Spirit cancel the CC? There it is. Could have canceled that sooner, started a new one in the main. He does have these Goliaths building. Looks like Classic is going to try to pull a fast one on his opponent, perhaps. However, these Oracles will have limited successes. There is turrets out. Spirit is repairing the Goliaths as well. One of them does go down. However, the Stalkers are very bruised up. Inside the main base, Oracles are trying to get what they can, targeting down that machine shop. However, another Goliath pops out. Spirit's holding the front lines. The Goliath will actually get targeted down by the Oracles and get killed off. So Spirit continues to eat some harassment. The tank is sieging up. That one Goliath retreats, but it does go down. Another one's about to go down. Spirit needs to be careful, as he could get snowballed to death by this. Another tank comes forward, though. That will keep him safe, unless Classic makes a blink into the main base, which is going to be an opportunity for the Protoss soon. Does Spirit set up a tank inside his main? He's going to need to, as he realizes, okay, there's vision. I think he's going to have to shuffle those tanks around. Looks like Classic wants to try and get the Oracle, but Spirit is late on the micro with that. He lets a tank pop out on the complete wrong side of town. Classic is not giving up in this series, as now he's doing what a Protoss player has done 1,000 times with Blink Stalkers, try and exploit a Terran. Spirit loses another Goliath, as the Stalkers do volley them down quite well. The tanks are getting big shots off, but the 3rd was delayed more. Classic has pretty much completely recovered from that economic damage. He doesn't have a huge lead, but he's doing quite well. Stalkers go in. They target down one of the tanks. Looks like they may get the second. No, he actually pulls out a little prematurely. Spirit needs to repair that, and he's going to, giving that tank the biggest hug of its life to keep it alive. Still 9 SCVs go down during this. Mining in the main base was disrupted. Spirit actually just has a gross oversaturation since he hasn't been able to take that 3rd. Let's pull up the units lost and see what's gone down. 5 Goliaths, 2 tanks, Vultures, and I mean, that is just so many units lost for the Terran early on to really delay him. Classic blinks in. He's going to eat quite a few tank shots. SCVs get pulled into this. Goliaths and more tanks coming in. It's going to cost Classic actually quite a few of these Stalkers. In fact, I think that's like 5, 6 dead Stalkers in this attack. The rest of them are committed in the main. And oh man, this may be Classic now making a big mistake, because he is going to have to play for as much time as possible with these 3 Stalkers. Spirit is in pursuit, and there could be a counterattack by the Terran after this. Like, I know Spirit doesn't have that many units, but Classic just lost everything. He's warped in some more Stalkers back at home. He will have charge done soon enough, which is going to be good. But that has given Spirit free reign to at least take his 3rd base. A bit of a nasty stasis ward. Spirit baits that out. Still can land the command center. It's not possible to block command center from landing if your opponent counterplays it. Spirit is moving across the map. If he does go for a push, I'd love to see him bring some SCVs. He does find that Oracle. He won't actually get it, though, so that's a bit unfortunate, as it was just sitting there. We've got ion thrusters on the way to give the Vultures more movement speed for Spirit, more micro potential, more harass potential. The Protoss, meanwhile, warping in charge lot Stalkers. Spirit does have to be careful with this army, as I mean, Zealots will gobble up tanks, they will gobble up Goliaths, and the Vultures, unless they get spider mines, I think are not going to be too useful. They do have mines, but they do not have mine technology yet. So we'll see whether Spirit researches that at all. as the Terran does wisely sit on defense. I think that's a really great decision by Spirit. He's got a lot of siege tanks. Classic is potentially going for a timing attack right now. The lack of spider mines is really going to hurt Spirit. He's just researching it now, but man, oh man, this Toss army is coming forward. Spirit sets up the rest of his tanks, wary that this is coming. He's going to need to pull units, I think, to help try and defend this. RSCV is coming to help. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Regardless, as Goliaths just don't deal that much damage to Zealots. The tanks are all going down for Spirit. I think Classic is going to get a point on the board. Well done, as Classic is able to overcome that poor start and bring life back into this series. Well done. Now, that means we are going to have Spirit playing StarCraft 2 Terran once again. We are on another 4-player map, not an island map, notably. Citadel is one we've seen plenty of times before. But all in all, Classic, I mean, he's not dead. That's all we can say. I still think Spirit's StarCraft 2 Terran is quite formidable, but Classic has shown us he can try and make magic happen with the Dragoons. He just needs to be extra careful. I think try and exploit Reavers, that kind of thing. Maybe be a little greedy himself. All right, so a quick probe move out for Classic. Is he going to proxy? Oh, Classic is going to proxy. I love this decision against Spirit in a best of 5. Spirit has shown us in this series that he does like to be a little greedy at times, and he could very well be going for a command center first, and I think he is. No, he throws up the racks before gas. Spirit is very wise with this decision. Now, knowing is only half the battle. I'm curious if this is going to be a cyber core behind this for Classic. Yeah, he's got gas on the way, so this isn't just a zealot rush. It's going to be Dragoons trying to capitalize with that high mobility, and if Spirit doesn't scout, he could be in a lot of trouble. As Classic, he doesn't actually know where Spirit is, but there in goes the probe to confirm that, and he's going to be a happy camper, immediately harass that SCV. He knows every second matters in a game like this if he can get an SCV pull. Okay, Zealots are on the way for Classic, so Zealots for Wave 1 until the Cyber Core is done. Then it will be Dragoons. Spirit wants to get up a natural command center, and Classic's just got to be on, yeah, expand, man. Be greedy. Well, not even be greedy. He's even like, yeah, totally, I'll build a pylon so you can't build on location. I bet that makes you upset. Go on, expand, Spirit. Classic cancels that immediately, and he's like, ah, sucker, as he's going to fire up 2 Dragoons. Looks like he's actually waiting, keeping his opponent in the dark. Spirit sends an SCV to follow this probe, funnily enough. A Reaper is going to try and chase down that probe, but that is total bait. Classic is kind of playing Spirit like a fiddle right now. The Terran player, he's got 1 Marine done. No bunker, though. And soon enough, there's going to be 2 Zealots, 2 Dragoons on the other side of the map. Classic sends in the Zealots first. Spirit is going to be a little bit unhappy upon seeing this, I think, as he does fire up a bunker, but we're going to need to see, at minimum, a huge SCV pull. And unfortunately, the bunker is right on the front lines for the Terran. Now, Classic is waiting for the Dragoons, though, and they're taking a bit of time, so this bunker is already halfway. Spirit needs to realize the threat right now, and he does. However, he's like, oh man, I am in trouble. There is SCVs pulling. I think he's going to need to bring more. Classic will probably micro these correctly. However, the Marines are on the high ground, so they're not targetable yet. A grenade goes down. SCV's fighting the Zealots, but unless that bunker gets up, Spirit is just dead. He's going to be losing firepower as these Marines die. I think that's going to be checkmate, as Classic plays a beautiful, beautiful proxy game. Spirit, he's just dead. I don't think there's a way to deal with Dragoons when your bunker is not up. And yeah, really well done. This is why you scout. Classic realized it in the series, being the gaming veteran that he is. Like, he's played in so many tournaments, high stakes, and he read his opponent very correctly in this match to tie the series up 2-2. I don't think there's any way Spirit wins this game. He's going to try. The Widowmine is being nice to zone out that Dragoon. Classic is one basing it, so there's a world where Spirit comes back in this. I mean, the 2 mines to zone this out for now, it's a great play by Spirit. but he's got one Marine. I think we still need to see a bunker go up for the Terran. Classic is just going to contain and probably expand behind this. Maybe he's bringing probes to eat the Widow Mines. That would be cool. Or maybe he'll just sack 2 Dragoons. As if he eats these two, he eats these 2 Widow Mine shots, that is going to be it. 1 Dragoon goes in. The second Dragoon goes in. He splits them. Spirit has got nothing to hold on right now. He's got literally 1 Marine. He built 2 Marines, pardon me. 2 Marines! But the Terran is in a world of trouble. He's going to try and hang on, make a miracle happen with this tank popping out. It may be able to pop off 1 or 2 of these Dragoons quite quickly. He's actually going to go for the siege and just try and drive his opponent out of his base. And that is a good start for Spirit. But it's still like he's on 12 SCVs right now. He's got no mining. Look at that. Classic expertly moves 1 Dragoon forward to tank the shots. SCVs pulled off the line. Spirit really tried, but there's just no coming back from a blind double gate proxy. I say that like I've seen it a million times. It's literally the first time I've seen it, but the StarCraft math applies in Broodwar and StarCraft 2, and you can kind of know when someone's screwed, to be frank. Looks like we've got a 3 spawn map, Sylphid, today. It's going to be a best of 5. We've got Spirit in the bottom right and Classic at the midnight position. So Classic playing a beautiful series, bringing this back. Spirit picks StarCraft 2 Terran. I get a feeling he'll probably scout in this one, as that was a painful loss. Having a 2-0 lead in the series, letting your opponent bring it back is not a good feeling, particularly when it's someone like Classic, who Spirit maybe puts on a little bit of a pedestal, as he is just such a veteran. And then he's also just a Protoss, which has been something that has hindered Spirit in tournaments in the past. We got a destructible crate, aka plates. Block things like cannon rushes by your opponent from walling you inside your main base. The probe sounds are very cool. Beep, 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 beep. What do you think they're saying? Happy probe noises? All right. Spirit going for a Reaper, or actually just a Marine expand. No Scout either. So playing it a little bit greedy despite that. I'd love to see him scout sooner rather than later based off that past match. Classic isn't going for a crazy proxy like that again. Although, I mean, he potentially could have based off this opening. Spirit has a factory on the way. We'll see whether he goes right into a reactor once he has the gas. The Terran is going to poke out a little bit. This is something that is a less experienced StarCraft 2 player than Spirit by 1,000 miles. It's uncomfortable to move out with something like a single Marine when you're a Terran player, because you know you've got literally nothing back at home to defend if there's a proxy, anything like that. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but Spirit's going to do it. He just moves out with his Marine to scout, sees that there's a pylon, and immediately sends that Marine running. It needs to run, though, and we're about to check. Movement speed, 411 on the Dragoon, 315 on the Marine. Spirit is going for a quick Widow Mine. He's going to have the command center done, but man, oh man, looks like Classic is going to catch the Marine. The Marine stands to die like a man, but he will still die, and Classic keeps sending that creepy spider. They're like tarantulas, the Dragoons. And Spirit, he's going to have to wait for that Widow Mine to get out in order to defend this. So he's got the mine moving forward. It's got to burrow sooner rather than later. And it does burrow. Going to reposition. Try and prevent play with those Dragoons. Classic is like, I can still get around here. How about that? And he just keeps clicking. He's like, hey, how do you feel about that? Probably not pretty good. That's a little bit funny that Classic is doing that. maybe trying to bait Spirit to unburrow the mine. The Terran is sitting, waiting for a tank on the way, though. Absolute necessary defense against this kind of thing, because look at this. Classic, he brings in a probe to soak the Widow Mine. Spirit unburrows it and starts it running, but the mine may die, and it does. Beautiful pickoff by Classic. Spirit can do nothing but kite with his Marines now, and what a play by the Protoss player. Classic and just Protoss players in general are so darn good at this early game harassment. The tank is out for Spirit. It moves forward. It will probably siege up soon, and that's going to be a big help. But still, that is very uncomfortable for Spirit. Cute play by Classic bringing the probe. I'm a big fan of it. Observatory on the way. Classic wants to have some detection out, which is a very wise decision, very mature. Maybe thinking like, oh, what could Spirit be going for behind this? A Banshee? A Cloaked Banshee? A Widow Mine drop? He's going to be ready for it, so I'm really, really enjoying that. Looks like Spirit may be going for a bit of a push against his opponent, actually, as he goes for a bit of a 1-1-1. 1 Rax, 1 Factory, 1 Starport to push at his opponent. 2 landed Vikings, and now Vikings deal so much damage to Stalkers, and Dragoons are also mechanical, so they will be as vulnerable. And all of a sudden, Spirit is going to be going for a bit of a cheeky push. Classic not expecting this, investing in 5 gateways, building observers, worried about harassment, but Spirit is just going to be crashing down the front gate. Classic has a few Dragoons on the other side of the map, but Spirit is here now. The Protoss player is in a lot of trouble. 2 Dragoons coming forward, many probes dying as they rally between the natural and the third. Spirit scans and has got to be like, wait, those Dragoons are somewhere out on the map. He sees them gobbling up his reinforcements. The Terran is moving forward, gonna get in range of this Nexus. Vikings, Marines, gonna just have to defend these tanks, maybe while the tanks shoot away at this. Looks like Classic is coming from behind. The tanks are shooting at some of the Dragoons. Looks like they do get targeted down. Classic realizes how serious this is, goes for a massive probe pull. Vikings and Marines are kiting against probes. So far, 5 died. Another tank comes forward, but it looks like Classic has sent enough to shut this down. Spirit may have needed to bring some of his own Marines to defend against this. Right now, he's in a full-blown rout, and the Protoss player does have observers, so the Cloak is not going to help out Spirit, as Classic is just counter-pushing so darn hard right now, and the Terran he's probably just dead, to be honest. Okay, he's got 1 more tank back at home. Classic may not be reinforcing this to the max, but look at this. He's got his Zealots to move forward. They are going to attack the Marines. They've notably got charge done already. He takes down the bunker. Spirit, I think, needs to build a bunker, and yeah, a couple more depots as well. Just anything to keep this Protoss out of his base. That is a very, very wise decision by the Terran. That may have bought him the few pivotal seconds he needs. The tank is shooting away. It's going to get targeted down. It needs to be repaired by Spirit. It's not being repaired as the SCVs were fighting. Banshee comes on in. It does have Cloak. The Observer is still alive. Where is it for Classic? Looks like he's sending it home, and he's got another one that's going to be grouping up with this army. Cloak is done, but that Banshee will probably die soon. Spirit holds the line, though. Not a comfortable position at all for the Terran. Spirit's got Stim on the way, but it's quite delayed. He needs to produce things like Marauders. He just needs to make everything he can, and I think start up +1 as soon as possible. There it is, because attack upgrades are so important in the middle of this. The Banshee does actually get some work done, pardon me. There was actually 2 of them, and this one now moves in towards the third, so Classic takes a lot of counter damage despite having observers out. He didn't quite have his units in position to deal with this. Will that other Banshee go on in? Yes, it does, but it does get taken out. Pardon my missing that. That is actually very, very critical in this game. Spirit getting some big counter damage done. I think he needs to get this wall back up. Like, he needs another bunker or an eBay or something here to prevent these charge lots coming into his base. I really hope Spirit recognizes that soon. There's 2 more depots going up because Classic is moving across the map with Dragoons and Zealots. It's not some massive attack, though, because his production lapsed for a second, and that is more punishing for Broodwar Protoss than their Starcraft 2 counterpart. As you miss a round of production, your gateways are still on the ready. As a Starcraft 2 player, you can still just make that warp in just a second later. In Broodwar, the longer you wait, those units, like, they're not just going to pop out ready. You got to wait for them to completely produce. That's why Protoss counterattacks can be so lethal if they hit warp-ins and just go for it in Starcraft 2. But yeah, That was a bit unfortunate for Classic Spirit. He's got quite a Marine count out right now, so Classic is already thinking, how am I going to deal with all this Terran stuff? And the answer is going to be Psystorm with some High Templar. No Calderum Amulet has been researched just yet, but once it does, that means he'll be able to produce High Templar with a Psystorm ready. That will be very big. The Terran behind this does have Medivacs on the way. Classic, though, fires up a 4th base, and he's really trying his best to be able to bring down Spirit. And we have seen Classic win a lot of games with this Broodwar Psystorm. High Templar are on the way out. The Broodwar High Templar look a little bit goofy, as they had a... There's the cool animation. They still have their very cool trail, but the model may look a little bit funny in StarCraft 2. Maybe that look doesn't translate the best out of the ones in this mod. A lot of them look phenomenal. Like, the Dragoons look great. The Zealots look good. The High Templar may look a little goofy. Anyway, we have got Spirit now on the defensive, dropping a scan, has a sensor tower up, so he's a little bit worried about what's coming his way. He's got tanks, another turret going to be going up. That's going to be massively important for helping to zone out this shuttle. And we do have ghosts on the way for the Terrans, so Spirit has just got to be careful. He drops a scan, wondering where's the observer that's giving my position away, as he feels like there must be one. In goes Classic, looking to push at the front. Looks like he's going for a bit of a High Templar storm drop at Spirit's 3rd base. Going to kill so many SCVs with 2 storms. That is 16 dead SCVs. Broodwar Psystorm is so darn lethal, as the Marines of Spirit have got to be like, I thought it couldn't get any worse, but apparently it can. As now Spirit feels forced to move out on the map to make something happen. Classic has burned 2 of his Psystorms, but he's got 6 High Templar. That is so much. Spirit may be able to get a jump on top of this army, and he's actually going to bait Classic into a massive sandwich. The Protoss does still have Psystorm in his pocket, but he ate some EMPs, lost quite a few units in that. So Spirit is going to be able to keep pushing across the map. The Terran has got to be so careful. This army is the definition. It's like it's a quick draw battle right now between these guys. EMP versus Psystorm. Either player misses, you're just dead. That's about it. Spirit does commit fully to the other side of the map. Classic is coming up behind this army, maybe not realizing Spirit pushed across the map so darn quickly. There's 2 tanks sieging up for Spirit. A massive minefield zoning Classic out from behind. More Widow Mines coming forward. Psystorm does go down at the natural. The bio can be healed by the Medivacs. There is only 3 Medivacs. Widow Mines go off on so many Zealots. Spirit's army is really grouped up. He's running away from the Psystorm. Fear the storm as he tries to target down that shuttle, but they unload, and there's so much damage done to Spirit's army. That is just a massive loss for the Terran. He got a Nexus, and he got 13 probes, but his army just melted in the face of that Psystorm. Spirit was like, oh gosh. He really just had no options there. Look at that Archon morphing animation from Broodwar, by the way. That is phenomenal. You can see the atoms floating around. That's just... It really is a cool look. A drop for Spirit goes down behind Classic's base. However, he loses the critical ghosts in it, and now he's going to be in trouble as Classic is looking for blood. Spirit is down on army supply compared to his opponent. Classic does only have 2 High Templars right now, which is quite important. As we saw the damage they did, Spirit's going to go for a drop while this goes on. He does have the sensor tower. Classic is staying outside the range. This may be making Classic hesitate a little bit, saying, do I really have what I need to make this push happen? The answer is yes, he does. Spirit is running his SCV. He's going to float the CC and go for a double drop onto his opponent's side of the map. He does have a real nice minefield, realizing that Protoss may not have the most counter play to it. Or at least Broodwar Protoss, but I mean, they got Dragoons, they've got Observers. Spirit will lose that command center. He's going for lots of counter damage, kills off the Corsair so he can lift up and then try and run away. But it's just not a great swap for Spirit. It's not any better than it was a minute ago. He does have a second round of drops coming in, as Classic was so focused on these Medivacs on the left, and then a third drop going in. I feel like it's been a good while since I saw Terran really go for such a multi-drop play with 3 Medivacs, but if you're going to do it against a Broodwar race, is absolutely the way to do it. Here's a drop at the 4th base of Classic. That could get some good damage done. Classic can't make a Warpin to defend this, and so Spirit is trying to get all the damage he can done. He now goes to that rebuilt natural base, so Spirit is going to have Classic responding on multiple fronts. Really nicely done. This is how StarCraft 2 Terran comes from behind, and that is exactly what Spirit's doing right now. Drops an EMP on the High Templar. That was a nice play. including those in his drops. He's now going to move back towards the 4th base. Classic is out of position a little bit with this. That's going to be more mining time lost. Spirit is really giving it his all. Maybe he'll go to the main base after this. We'll see. He's actually going to try and get the Nexus. Classic is a little bit late responding to this, and the Nexus goes down. The Medivacs also get on out of there. Well done by Spirit. The Terran player is still just chilling on 3 bases after losing that command center, but he can drop mules to keep his income high, and it is quite higher than his opponent right now after killing off that Nexus, denying mining time. It's really quite important for Spirit. He's then going to go to the main base of his opponent. He might actually see the carriers producing here, which would be quite important, and I think he has seen them. So Classic is going into carriers in this game. I'm honest, it's very unexplored, at least for myself. Looks like Classic sees Spirit going for a bit of another cheeky drop. Going to try and swing this play to bring pain to his opponent. There is High Templar in that shuttle, so a Psystorm on this mineral line would be huge. Spirit does have this drop in the main base, though. Marines fighting Broodwar carriers. There's only 2 of them, and it seems the Marines are doing okay against the Interceptors, actually, as they only have +1 attack, but then Spirit's only got +1 armor. I don't know how good Broodwar carriers are, to be honest. It's a bit of an anomaly for me. And so Spirit, he's actually going to get the Fleet Beacon to shut down that carrier capacity, meaning they do only have a measly 4 Interceptors. Classic will have to wait for that to be finished, so his transition plan kind of got shut down, and now out goes Spirit. Classic didn't have an observer or anything to see that this move out was coming. Spirit is going to be looking to get the 5th base of the Protoss, all the while reestablishing his own 4th, so he'll put them on even bases with this. He kills off 17 probes. And yeah, what a play by Spirit. He's trying to come back in this game. He's got a drop at the natural, as that does seem to get cleaned up. Classic is moving forward, eating more Widowmine shots. I'd love to see Drilling Claws for Spirit at this point in the game, but he's so clumped up, he's got to be careful. EMP is trying to hit the High Templar as they unload. They do have 2 Psystorms apiece, pardon me, actually 3 Psystorms apiece. Or is it 4 that they have? No, it's 3 per High Templar, 3 per full HP High Templar in Broodwar, which really is just a lot of damage. Spirit's going to load up into the Medivacs and try and get away, realizing he can't fight that army. That may be the wise move because he's got another counterattack. He's doing what Terrans do when times are tough. Just try and bring your opponent down with speed, sending out more units. Now Classic has only a few Zealots to defend it as natural. There's a Widowmine, quite a bit of Terran bio coming in, and Spirit can just go for another drop. He's sending units by in Medivacs. He does lose a few of them, as Classic did do a good job splitting his army. This push at the natural, it's not a drop, it's just a good old-fashioned walk to Classic side of the map, is going to bring the Protoss down to 3 bases with that 4th rebuilding. Nicely done. He's now going to try and get on top of a carrier, keep that carrier count low. He's not going to get it, though. Those Marines are not being microed. Maybe other drops are being planned right now. He actually gets it. 1 hero Marine shoots that carrier and brings it down. Beautiful carrier animation, by the way. Seeing the Interceptors following them is so darn cool. We've got more Widowmines going off. The Terran is down on supply by quite a margin. Spirit does have 3-2 upgrades done. He's got more Ghost building, but he did throw really everything at his opponent, and now he may be on the defensive to quite an extreme degree. It looks like he actually has seen the army of Classic, thanks to that sensor tower, maybe a little bit. Spirit's actually just going to move out and attack once again, though. Force a bit of a base race. Widowmines are going to go off on the front lines. That's why I'd have loved to see Drilling Claws from Spirit, because Classic hasn't necessarily had an observer in position this whole game. 4th base is being hit. Spirit is going for that counterattack with Ghosts. However, Classic has High Templar out. They have a Psystorm ready. If you see one, it's pretty much always got a Psystorm. Spirit's going to try and hold his natural, but he's probably going to lose his 3rd. What a close match this is. The final match in this best of 5. Classic will lose another mining base, but the planetary falls for Spirit. There's really no way to save them with the mass repair against that kind of Protoss Psystorm. And looks like Classic may be looking to crash the gates. There's Widowmines for Spirit. Those mines are going to go off on some of the Interceptors, but they do have that capacity upgrade. They're building more Interceptors. Spirit has got this army moving in. He's going to try and just really force an honest base race, it seems, as he goes for another Nexus of his opponent. Spirit is on 1 base. He's not mining at all. He can't make anything. What you see for his army is what you get. He needs to EMP that High Templar right there. That is exactly what Spirit needs to do. And it may even take 2 EMPs to completely knock it out of Storm. Will he get a snipe? Will he get an EMP? He does get an EMP, but that High Templar will still have at least 1 Psy Storm on it, and that is going to be enough to deal massive damage. The Spirit, he just evacuates. He is embracing the base trade right now. He's got a Marine and a Marauder on the left side. Classic cannot just warp in a unit to defend this. He may have to pull probes against just these couple of units. Spirit is out on the map with his force right now. He's got SCVs running around. Full-blown evacuation from this location. As Spirit's army runs into a portion of Classic's force, that could be big for the Terran. Does Classic have a shuttle right now? No, he doesn't. So these High Templar, they can be EMP'd. Marauders run on in. They get Psy-Stormed, taking so much damage, but they are the tankier units. Spirit has got 3 Ghosts versus 4 High Templar now to land some more EMPs. 2 of those High Templar are looking rather ratty. None of them have energy, I don't think, so Spirit does move in. He gets a snipe on one of them, uses his scan as he did land that command center. The command center immediately burns down as carriers kill it off. Spirit has got few buildings remaining, and the Terran is just stimming on in. He's going to try and take a fight. He has to fight this Protoss force piecemeal. There goes the dead Archon. Supply, 62 army supply against, let's see, 108 for the Protoss. Spirit has not rebuilt his base. He is being revealed. That's the mechanic. In comes Classic. He's got Archon. Spirit can maybe try and drop away from this, but as long as there's carriers, Spirit can never just float. He does land an EMP on some of the Archons. He's retreating. Can he take on all these Interceptors? Probably not because of the Zealots. This is so close. Spirit's going to GG out, and Classic takes the series, which means we are going to have another best of 3 between these two. Man, oh man, what an amazing series. Well done by Classic, pulling the reverse sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is if you enjoyed this cast and you watched to the end, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click that like button if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. I'm going to save this cast for another video because I've been talking for an hour and my voice is a little bit hoarse. But yeah, subscribe if you want to see the next video. Leave a comment down below. Say more SC EVO, more Brood War. Let me know if Starcraft, Brood War Terran, or Protoss is OP, something like that. But really, this was a phenomenal series. Like, this looked really refined between the 2 of them. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning on in. Bye-bye.